Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. This is a video for lesson day 112, and this is for factoring trinomials, where a is greater than 1. So for us, you guys know this as tricky trinomials. So there's actually one other way to do factoring instead of doing tricky trinomials. And this is actually a worksheet from another teacher, Miss Bretcher, that she let me use. So I appreciate that. And this is going to be really good because you're going to use this for Algebra 2. So this is what you guys are going to have to know for 10th grade. And since we have a little extra time this year, I thought it'd be a really good idea to teach it to you. But let's start off by doing regular plain old factoring. So our MAMS factoring. Remember, M-A-M-S. So I had you make two sets of parentheses. We brought down the X and X here. You bring down the first sign, multiply those two signs, so negative times a negative to be a positive. And now all you have to do is start here, find two numbers that multiply to 4 or -4 and add to -3. So that is -4 and +1, because -4 times 1 is -4 and -4 plus 1 is -3. Okay, one more quick review of regular MAMS factoring. We have A and A. Drop down the first sign, and negative times a positive is a negative. So we have double negatives. And remember your MAMS, this is where you start. So multiplies to 7 and adds to -8. That's -7 and -1. Okay. So -7 times -1 is +7. And if you add them together, you get -8. All right, so I'm going to move down here. I'm actually really not going to go over this. I'm just going to actually teach it to you. So what I think I'd like to do is I'd like to first show you and remind you how to do this with tricky trinomials, and then I'll show you the new way that's called grouping. Again, you have to know this. You can use it now in Algebra 1, but you can also use it in Algebra 2, which for you guys, you're actually going to take in 10th grade. All right, so tricky trinomials. And again, it's tricky because you have the 2. The A term is bigger than 1. Okay, so tricky try. We'll do that first. Okay, so I taught you to make two sets of parentheses. Take the A term and the variable and write that twice. Okay, drop down the plus, and then positive times a positive is also a positive. Okay, so then take the A term, multiply it by the C term. So 2 times 3 is 6. So now when you do the MAMS, it's what multiplies to 6 and adds to 7, and that would be 6 and 1. So 6 times 1 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7. But the most important part is how to remember to simplify tricky trinomials, okay? Because 2x times 2x is definitely not 2x squared. So we're going to take this, and we're going to show the division because we're going to simplify it. And we got x plus 3 and 2x plus 1. And that is in factored form. All right, let's do one more tricky try, and then I'll show you how to do these with grouping, it's called. Okay, so 3x and 3x, so they're both going to be plus signs. 8 times 3 is 24, so M-A-M. Okay, so it multiplies to 24 and adds to 10. That's going to be, let's see, 8 and 3 doesn't work, so it has to be 6 and 4. You have to always simplify. Sometimes both of them can be simplified, but sometimes and usually it's just one. So it's x plus 2 and 3x plus 4. All right, so hopefully you remember how to do that. And now I'm going to teach you the new way, the grouping way. Okay, usually I don't show this, but I think it's good that you guys get to see it since we have extra time now. Okay, so here we go. It's something totally different, but it produces the same exact answers. So I'm going to copy the same problem over just to show you how we do indeed get the same exact question. All right, and I think that after a couple of them, you guys will definitely get a hang of it. It's definitely different, but you'll get the hang of it. Okay, so totally different than tricky trinomials. Just try your best. So take this entire term and write it here, and then take this term along with the sign and write it there. So now we're going, notice I put the 2 with the x squared. I didn't split it up like 2x and 2x. I put 2x squared, this term goes here, and this entire term goes here. Then take the 2 and multiply it by 3. So that's still kind of the same. So 2 times 3 is 6. And we're still doing MAMS. We're still multiplying to 6 and adding 7. So that part doesn't change either. So we're going to do 6 and 1. But here is what's different. Instead of just writing 6 and then 1, I'm going to write, and 6 and 1 are both positive, by the way, plus 6x, and then plus 1x, okay? So 2 times 3 is 6. Now you're focusing on this number. Again, 6 times 1, those are my factors, right? 6 times 1 multiplies to 6, and they also add to 7. So I have a 6 and a 1, but you have to put the x's with them. Then what you do is you kind of split them up right in half, like right in between those two x values, your linear terms. And now focus just on this side. And what you want to do is do GCF factoring. So this means you have to really be good at your factoring. So what's the greatest common factor of 2 and 6? Well, that's 2. And what's the greatest common factor of x squared and x? And that is x. Okay, remember, GCF is just reverse distribution, so you're making it look at the distributive property. So 2x squared divided by 2x. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X squared divided by x is x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. X divided by x cancels out. All right, that side's done. Now work on this side. 1 and 3, no common terms. X and x. Okay, so when there's no common terms, you have to bring down the 1. Because even though we normally don't do this with GCF, you need it for here. So if there's nothing in common, there really essentially is a 1, and even though we don't show it, you're going to show it for this way. Okay, so this is x plus 3. Now look what happens. When you do it this way, those two binomials should be exactly the same. Okay, so now basically what you're going to do is you're going to take these terms that are on the outside, and they become a binomial. Then you're taking the carbon copy of one of the ones that are exactly the same, and you're putting there, okay? And that is the same answer as above, x plus 3, 2x plus 1, okay? So for our steps, multiply the first and last coefficients, so that's what we did 2 and 3. Find factors that add or subtract to the middle, and multiply, we did that already. Rewrite with the 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, we did that. Factor by grouping, split the problem down the middle, that's what we did. Factor the first 2 terms, copy and paste the front on the other side. So basically she's saying factor this side. Once you know this is x plus 3, you know this has to be x plus 3 as well, okay? Put the GCF of the last 2 terms in front, okay? So this and this, we put that in front. Factor using GCF. Your GCF will be a common binomial. So basically what they have you do is then they have you factor this right here. So what does this whole entire thing have in common? And what they have in common is the x plus 3's. So, all right, let's try the next one with the grouping. So 3x squared. Does she have the plus here? She does have the plus here. All right, so I'm going to put the plus in there. 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to get the same exact answers, but just grouping instead. So you're kind of going to expand this a little bit. You're making room for those 2 factors. So 8 times 3 is 24. So you're still doing your MAMS factoring technically. So it multiplies to 24 and adds to 10. That's going to just, same as above, 6 and 4. So positive 6x and positive 4x, okay? And you don't always have to put the bigger number first, but you know that's how I teach you with Tricky Try. So that's how I've been doing it here. But it does work the other way. All right, so let's split this up now. So now do GCF. What's my GCF of 3 and 6 is 3. X squared and x is x. 3 divided by 3 is 1. X squared divided by x is x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. X and that. Okay. The next one, 4x and 8. What's the common factor? 4. 4x divided by 4 is x. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now, if you notice again, these are exactly the same. That should happen every single time. Okay, so you have your GCFs on the front. You have a positive 3x and a positive 4. That becomes the first binomial. And then the binomial that they have in common gets factored out and put right here. And that's the same exact answer as that. So different way, but still kind of cool. All right, so we'll do one more page of examples, and then the back page, the last page, will be your homework that I want you to do. All right, so let's just do the new way, okay? So split up the 2x squared here and the 5x here. Take your a term, multiply by your c term, so 2 times 5 is 10. And then we're going to do our MAM, so it multiplies to 10 and adds to 11. That should be 10 and 1, so 10x and 1x. Split them up right in between the linear terms. GCF is 2x, and we have x plus 5 left over. Here, there's nothing, there's no GCF, but technically there's a 1, so that's why we have to take out a 1. And you have x plus 5 left over. Again, these should always match, okay? If they don't, we know we did something wrong. So take the 2 GCFs in the front, put them as one binomial, and take the common factor and put it as the other. So some of you actually might wind up liking this way better. Okay, so 2x squared, positive 6. 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, so what multiplies to 12 and adds to 7? That should be 4 and 3. So just remember with this, you always want to put the x's with the numbers. When we do tricky try, when we usually write our numbers, we only write the constants. We don't write the coefficient with the x, so just be careful. Okay, split it up right there. 2 and 4 is 2. X squared and x is x. So that gives me x plus 2. So I know this one should be x plus 2. Let's see if I'm right. So 3 is the GCF, and then x plus 2 is what's left over. Again, those are exactly the same. I take those in the front and the common factor and put it together. So not too bad. All right, let's keep it going. 2x squared, 15 over here. All right, so now I'm going to do 2 times 15 is 30. So it multiplies to 30 and adds to 13. It multiplies to 30 and adds to 13. That should be 10x and 3x. Again, don't forget the new way you have to have the x's. Split them up. Let's see, what do we have? 2x, and then x plus 5, and that's 3, and x plus 5. That's one parentheses, 2x plus 3, and then what they have in common is x plus 5. All right, so let's see. Let's see if you guys can do this one by yourself. So stop the video, try number 2, turn it back on, see if you got it right. Okay, so for number 2, you should have 2x squared and then positive 18. And then we have 2 times 18, which is 36. So it multiplies to 36 and adds to 15. Okay, you should have put 12x and 3x. So split them right here. GCF is 2x, x plus 6, right? Because 2x squared divided by 2x is x. And then 12x divided by 2x is 6. And right here you have a GCF of 3, which is x plus 6. Again, notice that those do match, which is correct. So take your outsides, your GCFs, and those become one binomial. And then your common binomial is the second one. And obviously you could double distribute, by the way, and you would get back to this answer. All right, number 3. So these can get, I guess, a little bit trickier when you have some of the negatives, especially this one, and then this one's going to be super tricky. But just a couple more, and then the rest will be for your homework. Okay, so 3p squared, negative 5. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Okay, and let's see. And by the way, I think the trick also works with the signs, right? Drop down the first sign, positive. Oh, these are all positive, so it's hard to tell, but we'll check this one. All right, so it multiplies to negative 15 and adds to negative 2. That will be negative 5 and 3. So does that work? Drop down the first sign. Negative to negative is positive. Yeah, so that works, I guess. All right, split in half. So 3 and 5. Nope, definitely not a common factor. P squared and p. We could take out a p. So you have 3p minus 5. Okay, 3 and 5, no common factors. P and nothing. So if there's nothing, again, it really essentially means that there's 1. So in this case, with this type of factoring, with grouping, you have to put the 1. Okay, again, notice they're exactly the same, so we did what we needed. Those are our outside, so it's p plus 1, and then 3p minus 5. It's p plus 1. Okay, next one, 2n squared. All right, so this one has the star, so I think this one was a little bit trickier. Okay, 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. What multiplies to negative 18 and adds to positive 3? 9 and 2. Okay, it has to be 6 and 3. So 6 and 3. Okay, over here, 2 and 6. GCF is 2. N squared and n is n. Remember, no showing division. We do not show division when we factor. That's only when we simplify. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. N squared divided by n is n. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and those cross out. Okay, so here's why this one's a little tricky, and it's because these both have negatives. Oh, by the way, let's see, did the sign trick work? Drop down the first sign, positive the negative. Oh, yeah, it still works. Okay, so because these both have a negative, you have to pull out, and you have to factor out a negative. That's very, very, very important, okay? Actually, anytime at all that there's a negative here, that should be a negative, whether it's one negative or they're both negative. For some reason, when you do grouping, that's just how it works, okay? So negative 3n divided by negative 3 is n, and -9 divided by -3 is +3. And now see, just to even show you, we needed these to be exactly the same, so you had no choice. You had to pull out the -3 to begin with. So this one was a tricky one. So 2n minus 3, and they both have an n plus 3 in common. Okay, so this one's an even trickier one. I actually got a little confused on this one right away too. So 3x, 4. So we have 3 times 4 is 12, and that the sign does work. Drop down the first sign, a positive times a negative is a negative. So I know I'm working with both negatives, if you put the larger number first, that is. Okay, well, multiplies to 12 and adds to -8. So 2 and 6. So 6x and 2x. Split it right down the middle. 3 and 6, common factor is 3. 6x squared and x, what is x? That gives us an x and a -2. So here's where this one's, I guess, a tad bit tricky, because over here, they were both negative, so it's easy to see you wanted to pull out a negative, okay? Here you have one positive and one negative, so you might be a little confused. So, but anytime you have a negative with this, I guess, third term, you're automatically bringing out the negative. And that's the only way that's going to get both of those to be the same, okay? Because -2, you know this, if this is x minus 2, this one has to be an x minus 2, okay? And then -2x divided by -2 is x. A +4 divided by -2 is a -2. So again, whenever there's a negative in this third term right here, you want to pull out the negative. So that's what's going to get those to be the same. Okay, so I'll put them together. 3x minus 2, x minus 2, and there you go. And again, all of these could have been factored using tricky trinomial, but we're doing them all the new way called factoring by grouping. When you get to high school, it's important that you remember how to do this. All right, 5n squared and 12. 5 times 12 is 60, so we're still doing our mans. It multiplies to 60 and adds to 19. That's 15 and 4. Again, don't forget to put the variables with it. And now we do GCFs. So 5n and n plus 3. And again, this has to be n plus 3, but my GCF is 4. 4n divided by 4 is n. Divided by 4 is 3. So take those on the outside. 5n plus 4 is one binomial, and the second binomial are those common factors of binomials. So, and make sure when you're doing these too, I just realized, make sure you're always putting the plus or the minus. I mean, we can obviously assume that if the number is positive, there's no sign there, but just go ahead and add all those positives in for me in the first couple that I mixed. So just make sure, again, when you're doing your homework tonight, the second one here, it's either going to have a negative sign or a positive sign. So go ahead and add those all back into your classwork, and then make sure you have those on your homework as well. One other thing I want to remind you too is how to get the factors. So if you press y equals, and you put that number in 60, and then divided by x, and then go to your table, which is second graph. Remember, these numbers that are next to each other, these are your factors of 60. So anything that's not a decimal is fair game. So you're looking at what adds to 15. So you just keep going through all these numbers, 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, until you find the factors that add to 19, which are 4 and 15. So 4 times 15 is 60, and 4 plus 15 is 19. So hopefully that helps. All right, so hopefully that was enough practice for you guys to be able to understand how to do this on your own. So this third and final page is your homework page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 6 are the factoring by grouping. That's what I want you to do. And then down here is mixed review. And this one down here, by the way, is factoring completely. So if you remember, that means more than one type of factoring. All right, so this is going to be your homework, the last page of Packet 112. Please make sure you post it on Google Classroom so you get credit for it. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. All right, have a great day. Bye.